this is Kelly. Welcome to my channel. Today is part 2 of my Americana series. I created this, or decorated this box in part 1, and now we're going to finish it with some florals. So I have some red, white, and blue florals and some glittery stars. I got this boxwood wreath at Family Dollar for $5, and I'm just going to pluck some of the greenery off of it. And now I want to attach the lid to the box, and as you'll see here, I try the popsicles and they don't work so much. But we figure it out. We want it on the side at kind of a tilt. So we're ditching those popsicles sticks, craft sticks, we're going to call them, and we're going to go to the handy dandy Dollar Tree Jenga blocks. And I'm putting hot glue on the very edges, make sure it makes contact with that round box. And then I'm going to take another one and glue the side of it on top of the first one to give it a little height. Thanks so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate it. Please consider subscribing and hit that like button, and of course ring that bell to get notifications when I upload new videos. It would really help my channel grow. I'm just starting out here and I'm enjoying this, and I'd like to keep bringing you guys videos. So we're going to do the same thing with this Jenga block. I'm sorry I'm out of the frame here, but you know how to put glue on something. And just put it on the very edges. And we do the same thing. We add one on top to bring it to the same height as the first one. And I'm goofing around here. Okay, we're trying it out. So we're going to put another set in front of those two. And again, we're hitting the edges, so that'll make contact with those first two stacks of Jenga blocks we have there. And we're laying that one down on the top instead of the side, because we want to give it just a little bit more height than the other two. So we put that down, then we stand the next one up on its side, and then I'm missing some footage. There was two of them there. Either way, it comes out just a little bit taller than the two on the outside. And I figured out where to make contact with, for the glue to make contact with the lid, and we just place it on there and hold it in place for a couple minutes. And inside there I've packed some Dollar Tree floral foam in there. If you have a round box, get a round piece of styrofoam. It'll make your life a lot easier. That's just what I happen to have on hand. If it's a square box, it doesn't matter. You can use the Dollar Tree, but I put a little bit of that dark colored Excelsior up under the lid to kind of hide where the Jenga blocks were. And then my boxwood, since I pulled them off of that wreath, the greenery is the female end, if you will. So what I'm doing here is I snip that end off, and then I just cut it in half from bottom towards the top and give it a little bit of a sharper, we'll give it a point. And I'm not gluing anything here. You can use glue if you like, but if you press them down in there and we pack all this greenery and flowers and such in here, it's not going to go anywhere. You don't have to glue it. That's entirely up to you. And I'm just filling it in with the boxwood greens, and there we go. I put some of that dark Excelsior around the outside too, and then later you'll see in the reveal I wasn't crazy about it, so I changed it for some lighter color. But you can use Spanish moss, you can use whatever you like. You don't have to use anything if you don't want to. I would just suggest putting something up in there to hide the Jenga blocks, although the greenery hides that. So this red, white, and blue picks came from Michael's, I believe, and I just cut off one of each and just put them in there in between the greens. Now I've got these white flowers. These came from Joann's. Our Joann's is closing in just a couple days. I'm so sad, but I did get some really good deals. What can I say? And you just place, and you can use any flowers you want. If you can find some red, white, and blue flowers. I had trouble finding red, white, and blue flowers other than roses, which there's nothing wrong with roses, but that's not what I wanted here. So these pretty little white ones worked very nicely. And we just, you gotta find a place in between the greens and stick them in there. And you just keep doing it until you like it, until it's full enough to suit you. There's no right or wrong. It's going to be pretty no matter what. And I found another spot needed some more of those white flowers. It's filling in really nicely now. It's fighting me there. Alright. Now these little glittery stars I think came from Dollar Tree. And I just cut the sticks down a little bit. Now you can paint the sticks or stain them if you like. But the raw wood looks just fine. But you can paint them white or whatever you want to do. Or don't even use them. That's up to you. Or you can find some red, white, blue pit berries. You can do whatever you want. You make it how you like it. But this is just a quick and easy way to put it together. And there she is. I just love it. I just love it. I really enjoyed putting this one together. And that brings us to DIY number 2. We're going to do a busted canvas. One of my favorites. So I've got this print of an old truck with an American flag. I bought it off of Etsy and printed on my printer. And same with these two papers. They're two separate. That's a pack. The two I've got there is in a pack, and then the trucks are in a separate pack. I'll put the links in the description for you. And I have an 8x10 canvas, and somewhere in this pile of stuff I have an 8x10 canvas panel as well. Let me sit here moving stuff around. Oh, there it is. There's a canvas panel under the truck. Now you see a little bit of black ink got here and there, but since this has a blank background and it's going on a white canvas, we're gonna tear the truck out. We're gonna tear the edges. When you decoupage and it's going off the edge, you don't have to do that. But if you are your edges are going to be on the surface showing, you want to tear them. They blend a lot better, and it just looks cool. So, and I had those little ink splotches that I wanted to get rid of because the print itself came out perfect. I didn't want to waste it. And this is rice paper that I printed on. I got from Amazon. I'll link that as well. So I just figure out where exactly I want to place it. Oh, I want to tear a little more off there. Okay. La la la. La la la. Thanks again for being here today. You watch me tear paper all day. Come on, Kelly, get it together. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry, I should have cut that out. Editing. Oh, there's more. Okay, I'm gonna make you watch all of this. I think this is the last piece. I don't want to promise because I don't know. We can't have it sticking out further in one place than the other. God forbid over here. Alright, now are we going to put it on here or what? Alright, there we go. Once I got it in place, I'm going to hold up so I make sure I get it in the right place. I'm going to hold up the end of it out of the way and just get a little Mod Podge at one end. And then just press that down. And don't press it real hard, just get the edge down. Because when you lift it, you don't want it to fold over, and then you end up with a crease in your paper. And with this rice paper, that might not matter so much. It's full of a lot of natural fibers. That's what makes it really cool, gives it a really cool texture. But just in general, and if you're confident enough to lay down your Mod Podge and then just drop your picture in the Mod, there you go, you can do it that way. And then I just do a little further. My dog is barking at something. Oh my goodness. Alrighty. Let me pause this. Hold on. I'll be back. Alright. Sorry about that. Okay, where was I? I don't even know where I was over here. Okay, so yeah, we we got the truck down, and we're just gonna press it down carefully with our fingers, and we just, yeah, we missed some there. Get it up underneath there. At least she barked at a good time where where I didn't have to give any instruction for a minute. Now here, I don't know what it is. It's the ink I'm using or something. The red ink decided it was going to smear a little bit when I put the Mod Podge on the top. And you've heard of happy accidents. I just roll with it because you see the way the flag is designed, it looks like it was painted where the brush just kind of ran out of paint. So I just went with it. And it turned out really cool. But I've got generic ink in my printer, and I think that's probably why. And the HP ink is it's so crazy expensive. It really is. But anyway, happy accident here. It turned out really nice. So I wasn't mad at it. But just keep that in mind. I don't know if it's because I have the cheaper ink or what it is. So now I'm just going around the edges. Make sure the edges are down and cleaning up a little bit of the. You can see some of the color kind of smeared off to the side, but it really turned out cool. It really did. And there's that. You see how it's coming across. It worked with this design. It worked, but other designs not so much. It was just lucky. So now I painted the inside of the wooden frame. You don't have to do that. It doesn't show all that much, and the raw wood looks fine. But I like to paint it a coordinating color. And I've got this little patch quilt flag going on here. This is going to I'm using my pencil to mark it. I want to cut it to fit inside that square. And when you cut the canvas open and make your curls, this is what's going to show on the curls when you reveal the picture underneath. So we're going to Mod Podge the inside here. And just keep trimming it until it fits, and then you just carefully lay it down in there and press it with your fingers. Now I'm just taking my brush there and tucking it underneath. If it's a little big, you can tuck it in. It's not going to matter. It's better than too much white showing. And we put a coat of Mod Podge on that. So now here's where it can get tricky, because the paper, the print's going to be off with this rice paper. Sometimes it doesn't print straight, and you have more canvas than you do paper. So you want to place it where you do have enough all the way around that it does overlap down the side, even if it's just a tiny bit. And then, oh look, my Mod Podge has some color in it still. Luckily all these papers are all the same dark colors. So yeah, my brush has got my Mod Podge has got a little tint to it there. And we do the same thing we did with the flat panel. And we start it, because you want to hold on to it. Again, it's barely going to cover the front of this when you print it on the 8.5 by 11 papers. And just like we did before, we carefully peel it up a little bit, keep it from creasing, and just add Mod Podge and lay it down as we go. And with this top piece, I always do it this way, because I have to make sure it's gonna come over the side. And now I use some lace to trim around the outside so you don't see where the paper is crooked or it doesn't go all the way down. The top and bottom will go all the way down. You actually have to trim one side usually, but it's on the sides, you just have to work with it a little bit. And I hate to cut out that eagle, but you see around the outside, that's what's going to show. That red and white, it just makes a really pretty frame. And you see my papers overhanging here and there. And what I do is, like when you're wrapping a present, you do one side and, like do both sides, for instance, and get them glued down, and then you fold the corners in to do the other ends. And just see, I'm just putting a little Mod Podge there. See how I only have a tiny bit of paper there, but again, as long as it clears that little slope, you're fine. But I use that cotton lace ribbon to put trim around it, but you can use any kind of ribbon. You can get some Patriotic ribbon, and there, that's all done. Look how beautiful. I hate to cut that eagle. I really do, but that's the next step. So make sure your utility knife has a sharp, brand new blade. And I usually eyeball it. I've done this more than once, but you can take a ruler or a pencil. You can mark little lines. They're really not going to show. And I just go from corner to corner, about an inch from the frame, and go all the way across. And again, make sure you have a nice sharp blade so you get a clean edge. And if they're not perfect, once you do the curls, you're not gonna be able to see it. But I usually lay the knife across in the direction, make sure it's aimed exactly to the corner, and then I just kind of go, and then I move my fingers over. When you cross where it's already cut, you might want to hold that down, or it bunch up on you, or you can come from the other side and do it if you want, from the other corner to the middle. And then we're going to do it 4 more times. We're going to cut each triangle in half, about an inch from the frame to the center. And with this pattern, you see I can use the lines to keep them straight, so that helps. You're not always going to have that, but... And we're just, like I said, we're going to cut each triangle in half. And I've had them come out crooked where I was just like, oh no, just thinking it's the end of the world. But then once you curl them up, you can't tell. There's another one where we can go right next to the line and get it straight. An inch from the frame to the center. And you don't have to press down really, really hard. Make sure you have a healing mat and a brand new sharp blade. But yeah, you're not going to see the eagle at all anymore. I'm going to have to make something with that eagle on it where the eagle stays, because it's so beautiful. And this pack of papers is amazing. It was hard to pick out which ones I wanted to use because they were all so pretty. So now I've put the back piece on just so I can kind of open it up. This is the fun part, is see what's going to be revealed. There you go. Peekaboo. So what I do is I take a just regular Sharpie marker, and that's how I start my curls and get them going. And with this rice paper and the Mod Podge on both sides, it turns into kind of a leathery texture. And I've seen people make these where they hot glue the curls down. It doesn't stick. I'm like, how do they do that? Because I've tried to hot glue it. I saw one girl use little tacks. But I have found that if once you get them curled up, they're not going to stay right away. They're going to start to uncurl. And I found that if you just keep working them, because see how they'll be tight and then they'll start to loosen up. And then I keep rolling them and working them. See what I'm doing here? And you just keep working them until they stay put. And then if something happens where it gets kind of like, I don't know, you mash it or it comes unrolled, just roll them up and work them again. Now, I would suggest not putting oh, here we go. Hold on a minute. Isn't that cool? Look at that truck coming through there. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. I wouldn't hang it like in your bathroom where, the steam, because your curls are not going to hold in there, I can tell you that. Plus, it's probably not good for it overall. And here's my favorite glue, the Titebond Thick and Quick. This works very well for this because you have time to adjust it to make sure it's straight. But it's kind of like tacky glue. It will hold it in place very nicely until you get it clamped, because you do want to clamp this. The Titebond bottle suggests an hour, and I just flip it over. I spread the glue around a little bit. You don't want it bulging out. If it bulges out of the outside, that's no big deal. You wipe that off and that gets covered up. Just make sure it's not going to squeeze out onto the inside. And I got these clamps. These are the best. They're so easy to use at Dollar Tree. I think you get 2 of them for $1.25. And make sure the clamp is on the wooden frame. You don't want it to go too far in and mash everything up. And the way these clamps are, the little orange and yellow tips are like the exact right width, which is great. So here we go. I leave it clamped usually about an hour and a half. And I unclamp it, and then you see how the edges came out real nice on this one. And this lace, you can get this type of lace at Dollar Tree. I got this particular lace at Hobby Lobby. It was a little bit of a darker color than what I usually use, so I thought it would work well. Now here's the Aleene's tacky glue. This is the best that I have found for this lace. And I just put a thin strip down one side, and I take a little paintbrush and just spread it around. You don't want it too thick because you don't want it, oozing out between the lace. And make sure it's getting down on that the edge of that canvas panel. And I start on the bottom, and I leave just a little bit of room. That's only about a ½ inch. And I pull that across, and don't pull it too tight. You don't want it to be tugging on itself. Just pull it tight enough where it lays flat. And the tacky glue holds that lace in place. It's not sliding around all over the place. I've used Elmer's glue. It's sliding everywhere. I've used Mod Podge to paint the butt. And I like using Mod Podge because it's going to be the same finish as what's already on it. But it's hard to manage. You can get this with the tacky glue. You can get this on so much quicker. So then I trim it just another ½ inch past where I started the lace. Excuse me. Excuse me. And we're going to put a little bit where the canvas is still showing. And with our little brush, we're going to spread that around, and then we're actually going to paint some on the loose piece of lace as well. And you want it nice and thin so it's not oozing everywhere. And then just lay it down. There she is. Love it. Love doing these. And that brings us to DIY number 3. This one's super easy. This is a frame from Dollar General. Any wide, flat wooden frame will do. And I'm just staining the edges with antique wax. Put a coat of Mod Podge on it. Place your napkin down. Don't forget to peel the backing off. Napkin's usually 2 ply, sometimes even 3. You only want that front piece. Place your napkin where you want it. Press it down gently with your fingers. Easy peasy. And we just trim the edges as close as we can with our scissors. This is so simple and fast and fun. I'm going to show you every little snip apparently, but that's okay. When we get done, we're gonna light it on fire. Beavis and Butthead over here. Fire, yep, fire. Grow up. Oh well, if you're not having fun, what are you doing, right? Might as well laugh. So we're gonna trim it on up. Oh, here we go. And we're gonna light her up. Oh, look, it's a race. Who's gonna win? Oh, I trimmed it off. Here we go. Burn all those edges off. Then you take your sanding block and hit anything that's left over. And you don't even need to do the lighter trick. It's just fun. And here they are. I'm so pleased with how these turned out. Let me know in the comments which one's your favorite. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell to get notifications of new videos and to catch part 3 of my Americana series. Bye.